Namaskar, a warm welcome from Ameya Sathaye and all the viewers across the globe, and also to the viewers in Mongolia, Sen Bao Now from sakaritel.com and diplomacyindia.com channel. It is our great pleasure to welcome His Excellency Dambajav Ganbold, the Ambassador of Mongolia to India. Mongolia and India enjoy a honored friendship deeply rooted in shared history, cultural values, and mutual respect. Over the years, our two nations have strengthened cooperation across diplomacy, trade, and cultural exchange. India and Mongolia are strategic partners, spiritual brothers, and third neighbors with century old deep civilizational linkages through Buddhism. India established diplomatic relations in December 1955. India was the first country outside the Eastern Bloc to establish diplomatic relations with Mongolia. In this exclusive conversation, we would forward you gaining insights into evolving partnership between Mongolia and India and exploring avenues for future collaborations. Today's interview will highlight the strengthening bond of friendship between India and Mongolia. Your Excellency Ambassador Dambajav Ganbold, we are truly honored to have you with us today and welcome to this very special broadcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Excellency, we will be starting with the bilateral relations. Following the historic visit of Prime Minister Modi to Ulaanbaatar in the year 2015, the relations was elevated to strategic partnership level. How would you envisage or envision the state of bilateral relations as both nations commemorate the 70th anniversary of relationship? What are the new focus in which two countries plan to work in the near future?
First of all, it's my pleasure to be with you today. Thank you for having me. And I'm happy that we're conducting this meeting on the special historic occasion of establishment of 70th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Mongolia and India. For us, India is a very important third neighbor in this region. Given our historic background, which goes many centuries back, we truly refer to each other as spiritual neighbors, brothers. And I'm happy that today our relations reach the level of strategic partnership, which gives us broad avenues, possibilities to develop it, not only in the political, but economic, defense, education, culture, health, you name it, IT, communication. So all sectors is covered now by our relations. And of course, there was a lot of historic visits from Mongolia. Also, the historic visit of Prime Minister Modi ji to Mongolia in 2015, which was the very first visit of the Indian Prime Minister to Mongolia, was a very important visit. And we see that during that visit, a lot of bilateral issues were discussed and agreed. And of course, one of the importance of that visit is elevating our bilateral relations to strategic partnership. And of course, at the second importance of that visit, we can say that it's agreed that the oil refinery, very first in Mongolia, will be constructed in Mongolia by the soft loan of the Exim Bank government of India. And as of today, I'm happy to notice that our bilateral relations is developing and enriching and getting new aspects of our bilateral relations. And personally, I have confidence our bilateral relations has a huge potential in terms of not only the spiritual and the political, but I can see that there are a lot of potentials in economic cooperation, so which we'll cover later on. So overall, I'm happy that our bilateral relations is developing rapidly, and soon, next we're going to have a Secretary East of the Minister of External Affairs of India visiting Mongolia. And of course, in October, we are planning to host our Mongolian president to visit India on the state visit.
Okay. Coming to the strategic and political ties, Mongolia was the first country outside India, immediate neighbor, to be called a strategic partner. How do you see this partnership evolving? What role does India play in Mongolia's third neighbor foreign policy? While India is a member of SCOPE, Mongolia is an observer. How could our two nations cooperate more in strengthening regional cooperation?
Thank you. It's a very interesting and very broad question. So, as you're probably aware, India has a policy called Act East.
Yes.
In our foreign policy, we have concept of the third neighbor, which because Mongolia is sandwiched between two big nations, Russia and China, and the priority of our foreign policy is, of course, the immediate neighbors, Russia and China, and so to balance the relations with our two immediate two neighbors, Mongolian government foreign, the policy came up with this concept of third neighbor, which refers to all developed countries, starting with the USA, Japan, European Union, Korea, India, Turkey, name it, and of course, plus United Nations. So all of those countries we refer as our third neighbor. And India is one of our most important third neighbor in this region, given the strategic importance of India, which now India is playing on the not only region but on the world affairs. So we see that our strategic partnership with India is giving us very advantage in terms of the not only bilateral but also on the level of the international organizations, starting the UN and other regional organizations. In case of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, as you rightly said, India is a member while Mongolia is observer from the very beginning. In our foreign policy concept, we openly stated that Mongolia will conduct independent, open, multi-pillar foreign policy, and Mongolia should not join any, let's say, any coalition. Let's say, in terms of that's, and we see that Mongolia, as of today, the observer status of Mongolia at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is the right path for Mongolia in our foreign policy. That's why we are not pushing to become a full member of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Of course, we believe that being observer in this organization will also, strongly engaging with the Russia, China, India, and other members organizations. And we see that as of today, our observer status should be maintained. That's how we see it.
Thank you, Excellency. You really, gave insights into the political connections between India and Mongolia, as well as Mongolia's, third neighbor policy. Now, coming to the economic and trade cooperation, Mongolia is a mineral and coal-rich nation, yet its landlocked status somewhat hampers expansion of trade with other nations. What are the key opportunities for enhancing bilateral trade and investment with India, given that India is planning to treble its steel making capacity by 2030? Are these specific sectors which you see high potential for collaboration? And how is Mongolia looking at India, Make in India, and Digital India initiatives?
Yes, you rightly said that Mongolia is a very rich country. I'm sorry. In terms of minerals, we have everything, starting with the gold, copper, coking coal, rare earth elements. And in this term, I believe that the Indian businesses, especially the private sector, should come strongly in Mongolia and do any type of cooperation in mining sector. It can be 100% investment. It can be joint venture. It can be management field. So any part of the cooperation is welcomed in Mongolia because Mongolia is a democratic country. Our law, regulation, all in alliance with the Western standards. So we see that the Indian companies can and should be in Mongolia present, especially in mining. And of course, given the fact that India started production its own microchips like 2 years ago, and we know that the majority of the raw materials for microchips India is importing from foreign countries. So I always ask Indian friends from business circles, saying, why don't you come to Mongolia? We have a lot of rare earth elements, so you can do the production there, and they're not depending on the one, the source of the rare earth elements. So Mongolia can be also important partner in this microchip industry of India. Also, in terms of the metallurgy, we see that Mongolia can be also one source of diversification of the coking coal import. We know that India is imported mostly from Australia and Indonesia. But we, as it was stated during the visit of our speaker to India, Mongolian coking coal price can be compatible to those. And we see that there are huge potential for us because our coking coal is very high quality. And we had delegations from the Steel Authority of India visit Mongolia. And now we talk how to bring the coking coal from Mongolia to India. And there are a lot of talks. Of course, the logistics is the issue, but I believe that it can be resolved in modern days through export through Russian railways and ports. At the same time, I see that India, is a digital India, is number one country in terms of IT technology, and we believe our cooperation has a very big, huge potential. Given the fact that even though Mongolia is landlocked country, it doesn't mean that we have to lock our minds. So the IT technology gives us this advantage. So I believe that given the fact Mongolian young, very bright youngsters, yeah, IT technology is our important aspect of our bilateral relations. And now, right now, there is a construction of IT Center of Excellence and outsourcing in Ulaanbaatar, which will be finished probably at the end of this year and fully operational. So it will give more opportunity to Mongolian kids to do the IT technology, communication, and outsourcing. So bring in the Indian the specialists in IT technology, we can bring our level presence of Mongolia in IT technology around the world at a higher level. Of course, we are aware that pharmaceutical industry of India is very strong. Now we working on to how to bring the pharmaceutical companies to Mongolia, given the fact that Ayurvedic, the traditional medicine in Mongolia is quite similar. So I believe that combination of the, let's say, Western pharmaceutical as well as the traditional medicine with the herbal medicine can be very fruitful. And during the COVID, Mongolian government, Mongolian health industry, some of the mixture of the traditional medicine with the so-called Western medicine, so which gives a very good outcome. So this has proved that it has a big future in the world in the term of pharmacy. So we're looking forward to continue our cooperation in the pharmaceutical industry as well as the health institution. As you're probably aware, there are many Mongolians who come into India on the medical tourism.
Yes.
So I believe bringing the Indian health institution into Mongolia will help them to avoid all unnecessary expenses, as well as bringing our cooperation in the health industry together. I mean, bringing the Indian doctors to Mongolia. Also, we started to bring in Mongolian doctors to India to train at certain levels. Of course, we have agreement with the Laparoscopic Institute of India, so we're doing research on that. So there are huge potentials in the health industry. Also, the renewable industry has a big potential in our bilateral relations, given the fact that Mongolia has almost 300 sunny days per year. So we should use that that solar energy as a renewable, as well as especially in springtime. Mongolia has a very strong winds, so wind farm turbines can be also installed and should be used in a renewable energy, given the fact that world is facing the climate change a lot. And of course, within all these parameters, we see that Make in India is a very good initiative by the Prime Minister Modi, and we see the real outcome of this initiative. And Mongolia wants to be part of this initiative. We want to have more Indian products, machinery to bring to Mongolia. So there are a lot of talks in terms of the mining sector, as well as the defense sector, as well as the IT sector. So there are a lot of things we can do and should do together.
Excellency, you just mentioned Modi ji. In fact, the day we are doing interview today,
Yes,
we are
25.
celebrating Prime Minister's birthday today, and I think you can also wish him through this broadcast also.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to deliver a message of good wish to Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji on his 75th anniversary birthday. And we believe that his personal attachment to Mongolia and his personal wish and leadership that is bringing India into the world level. And as of now, we all know that India is number 4 in economic terms in the world. Soon it will be number 3 economy in the world. And we'd like, on behalf of the people of Mongolia and the Embassy of Mongolia in New Delhi, would like to wish all the best to Honorable Modi ji and wish him health, strong health, long and happy life.
Thank you. Thank you. Excellency, in the very beginning, you mentioned about the oil refinery project. If you could share with our viewers what's the status of the project, and if you could see that it's going to help Mongolia resolve its energy security. It is also learned that India has already completed a cybersecurity training center in Ulaanbaatar, and and also I think ABV Center of Excellence in IT is likely to be commissioned soon. So, how do you see these projects reinforcing India-Mongolia digital partnership, and are there any more digital projects being envisaged?
Yes, of course, that the oil refinery is very first in Mongolia, and probably aware that Mongolia is heavily dependent on the petroleum from our northern neighbor, Russia. So to bring our Mongolia, we have oil in Mongolia, so we should use that our own oil, not exporting raw to China, but we can use it in our oil refinery. That's how the whole idea came up. And of course, this oil refinery is very important for in terms of energy independence, And that's why our president and the Prime Minister Modi agreed to start the construction of the oil refinery during the visit of 2015. And actually, all the negotiation was done, and the agreement was signed in 2018, and construction started in January, February 2019. But because of the COVID, we lost 2 years. But now the oil refinery has 4 phases. The phase 1 is already accomplished. Phase 2 and 3 is going very well in a rapid manner. And of course, the 4th one is oil refinery by itself. It started the construction, and we believe that by the end of 2026 and mid of 27, we will start first production. And of course, by the end of 2027, we believe that oil refinery will bring the full swing, which gives us about 75% of the domestic use of petroleum will be produced by this oil refinery. And of course, it can be extended and widened, and we can provide ourselves with a local Mongolian-made petroleum 100% in the near future. So in this term, we see that how Prime Minister Modi ji, Indian government are supporting us on this important endeavor, and we're very thankful for this. Of course, besides this, there are a lot of small projects, comparatively, let's say, small, because the oil refinery is huge project, single project which has a 1.7 billion USD. I think it's the biggest project for the single project as it is. Of course, there is a Atal Vajpayee, Bihar Vajpayee's Center for Excellence and Outsourcing, which, as I mentioned before, will be completed soon, as well as there will be cybersecurity training center also started. We have other couple of the IT projects now ongoing discussion, and of course we send in many Mongolian youngsters through the ICCR and as well as high-tech program to study IT technology in India. And we believe that this Center for Excellence and Outsourcing in Ulaanbaatar can be, let's say, start of the IIT of Indian, the technology institutions in Mongolia, which will bring more cooperation in terms of the digital projects, as well as in the future we can see that there are a lot of opportunities for all of us.
Excellency, you almost touched on all the issues.
Yes.
This is one part which will be the viewers would be very keen to hear from your side is on the subject of culture and Buddhism. Which is very common, and we would like you to give us insights. India is often called as the spiritual neighbor of Mongolia, and the Dharma is one of the strong pillars of India-Mongolia relationship. Both countries shared strong historical and cultural links. How is the embassy promoting these shared values and linkages of Buddhism today? Are these plans for more cultural exchanges, exhibitions, or tourism initiatives between India and Mongolia? And lastly, how do you see the role of the former ambassador Kushok Bakula, who was ambassador of India to Mongolia for, I think, almost a decade? How do you see his contribution to India-Mongolia relations?
Thank you. It's a very important aspect of our bilateral relations you touched upon. We see that Buddhism is one of the important pillars in our bilateral relations, given our historic connections. Our ancestors managed to overcome Himalayas by foot, barefoot, come into India, and of course, Indians also visited Mongolia at that time, and there was a strong, let's say, connection between the two nations, and we're always striving to each other. And there are a lot of evidence showing that Mongolians used to study in the Nalanda University, which is many centuries ago. So, because based on this, the connection, we refer to each other as spiritual neighbor or brothers. And of course, the Buddhism as of today, is our main religion. Majority of Mongolians consider themselves Buddhists, and you're probably aware that Buddhism tried to came to Mongolia 3 times, and in 16th, 17th century it was succeeded. Of course, Buddhism came from India through Tibet to Mongolia, so Mongolian is more Lamaistic, the way of Buddhism, if I may say so. And through the Buddhism, and of course, traditional Mongols is shamanistic. We used to worship sky, fire, the high hills, mountains, and in this term we have a lot of common with the Indian people and the Buddhism. But in case of Mongolia, coming to country where the nomadic lifestyle was prevailing, and adopting Buddhism into Mongolian soil, it became the phenomenon so-called Mongolian Buddhism. It is all the aspect of the Buddhism, and at the same time is combining with our traditional nomadic lifestyle and the shamanism. So it's very unique phenomenon, and it came where it was needed for the Mongolians, and it was providing what the spirituality needed in the Mongolian steppes. When the nomadic people travel a lot, and there are a lot of opportunities for us also to continue this our spiritual Buddhistic relations. And as of now, we have around 500 Mongolian monks studying in India Buddhism, in the southern in Karnataka as well as in Himachal Pradesh. From our embassy side, we, of course, according to our constitution, religion and state is divided. Mongolia is a secular state. So, but given the importance of the spiritual connection, our embassy supported all activities related to Buddhistic, the relations. We are active participants of the first Asian Buddhist summit as well as the religious summit, and I was part of the Bodh Gaya marathon, which was conducted, I believe, in March of this year, and I was participated in inauguration of this marathon as well as the exhibition at that time, and even I ran myself a marathon for 5 kilometers, which was very interesting for me. There are a lot of opportunities for us to bring Mongolia into Indian people, because I've been here in India like 3.5 years. So far I traveled to 25, 26 states. Whenever I go, I try to meet local people, especially youngster students, because the youngsters are the future generation who will run our country. So I want to deliver them knowledge, understanding about Mongolia, and I see that there are a lot of interest, but not particular knowledge about Mongolia, where it is, how it works, And based on that, we are planning conduct a couple of activities we already done. I had a lecture at the Delhi University as well as the Jawaharlal Nehru University about our bilateral historical relations, current, the contemporary relations of Mongolia and India. As well, we had in Bangalore last month, we conducted the Mongolia Day cultural event, and also there will be in October, mid of October 15th, there will be a huge concert in Bharat Mandapam, bringing the Mongolian almost 100 artists, the musicians, dancers, singers, So I would like to invite your public, your audience to come to Bharat Mandapam on the evening of October 15th. and it will be very, very cultural live performance, and you will see who we are, nomads, Mongols, where we came from, what is our relations, what our, the background. So it will be very good. At the same time, we'll put the exhibit about Mongolian musical instruments, so-called Mörnchor, which is the horse-headed fiddle, which has only two strings made of the horse tail. And the sound of it, astonishing. It's only two strings, but it can play any music and any sound it can produce. So that's how our rich cultural relations can be and will be delivered to Indian public. Also, in case of Mongolians, we refer to India as a land of Lord Buddha, and many Mongolians come to India on pilgrimage. And of course there are a lot of people now coming to India to visit, because India is too big. You cannot understand or get whole idea about India by one visit. So many people coming back. Since your embassy in Mongolia now is issuing multiple visa for 5 years, so people has a chance to come and go and back so many times. So there are a lot of people coming back, and I always advise them, to go out of Delhi. Delhi, of course, is a big country, a big city, the biggest, second biggest in the world. But Mongols usually go to Taj Mahal, also the Bodh Gaya, Dharamsala, and this kind of. But I strongly suggest them to go to out of other places, especially South India. It's totally different world. Dharamsala is totally different world.
Yeah.
Varanasi, and of course the Punjab, Jammu Kashmir. So it's the whole world is there, and of course Goa is a perfect place. The desert Thar is there. So I encourage Mongolians to travel to new destinations, not the used old ones, but new ones. Ellora Caves, the Sun Temple in Odisha. So you name it, there are a lot of things can be explored. And me and my spouse, we love travel around India. So we've been many places, and we're looking forward to continue our journey in India, because unfortunately, one lifespan of the one person is not enough to fully understand India. But we are happy that we stay in here. We're looking forward to do more discoveries in the near future.
Coming to the former ambassador of India to Mongolia, Kushok Bakula, if you could just throw a light on his contribution.
Yes, happily, I was personally had a chance to witness his presence in Mongolia during his almost 11 years tenure as ambassador. We refer to him as Ilchin Baksha, which means ambassador guru or ambassador teacher, because he was spiritual leaders of Mongolia at that time. What I mean is that at that time, Mongolia was transiting from the communist regime to democratic system, and economy was collapsing. And at that time, there was a lot of calls for the, let's say, violence, or the revolution, so-called. But I personally believe that his presence there, his spiritual support, guidance, helped Mongolians to avoid this bloodshed, as we can see in many other countries where there is some, the change in system of the world structure of the society, and the country. There is a lot of clashes, the bloodshed, human life is lost. But happily, Mongolia avoided it, and I was happy. I was a very frequent visitor to the Indian embassy in Ulaanbaatar when I was young, and Honorable His Holiness Ambassador Bakul Rinpoche was there. He was always kind enough to give me at least 1 or 2 minutes of his time, advising me how I should plan my future, what I should learn, how I look for my future, and of course, spiritual advice is given to me. I still call them warmly, and I was kind enough to accompany him during his visit outside of Ulaanbaatar to Aranga province, to Darkhan. So whenever he goes, there was a huge crowd gathered just to get his blessing, hear his, the teaching. He was very prominent ambassador at that time, and I would like to express our sincere appreciation to the Indian government to send in such a wonderful, brilliant ambassador to Mongolia, who was not only the ambassador as a diplomat, also he was the ambassador as a spiritual. Also, he was a big politician in terms of the Ladakh, so he brought the Ladakh to a new light. And all this, the quality experience that he possessed, he brought it all of them to Mongolia. And I'm happy that I was part of his journey, small, even small, but I was witnessing his presence in Mongolia. I warmly recall his presence.
If I'm not wrong, I was just checking with my friends, and it was Mr. Jain Dikshit's idea to, send Mr. Bakula to Mongolia.
Yeah, and when he first time arrived in Mongolia in 1989, Mongolia was a communist country.
Yeah.
But when he left Mongolia after 11 years, it was already a democratic country. So I don't know, there won't be many ambassadors who can witness this whole transition by himself. And, the coming to totalistic regime country, communist country, but living open and free democratic country. It was, I believe, he's was part of this transition, and his accomplishment is gladly acknowledged by Mongolians.
Excellency, you really sum up the role and the impression Ambassador Kushok Bakula left during his tenure, and it created a strong bonding between India and Mongolia. Now coming to the educational and people-to-people contact ties, it is heartening to note that India is constructing a friendship school in Mongolia, and it will almost benefit 1,200 students in modern curriculum, including teaching English language, IT, and AI technology. How would you see these projects intensifying educational cooperation between the two countries? India also is offering about 200 plus long-term and short-term scholarships to Mongolians for their higher learning as well as capacity building in critical areas. In addition, many Mongolian students are also enthused to study in India for higher education, particularly in medicine and engineering. So, what more can be done to strengthen the academic cooperation?
Yes, the Indian government is kind enough to offer 50 scholarship through the ICCR scholarship, as well as around 240 scholarship through the ITEC annually. And I'm happy to witness that many Mongolians are interested coming and learning a lot. As of now, we have around 27 Mongolian students studying Delhi University in New Delhi. Also, we have 17 Mongolian students studying in Punjab. Also, we have 13 students studying in Gujarat. So this is the let's say the biggest gathering of Mongolian students. But also we have around 10 more students who live in different cities around India, who obtaining education in engineering and IT technology. Of course, we have other students who study in the culture, language. A lot of people are coming. There are huge interest in Mongolia to study in India, because India provides a lot of opportunity. And one of the opportunity, how I see, is, as we said in our bilateral relations, education. So, as you rightly stated, the friendship school is now built in Mongolia, which will be operational starting from the next year. And it will give a lot of opportunity to Mongolians to understand India, as well as to, obtain Indian Mongolian curriculum in Mongolia and continue their study in universities in India. Overall, how I see that our economic educational cooperation can be developed in the future is that Mongolia took us around 30 years, more than 33 years, to get rid of this socialist heritage. And in July 2023, Mongolian parliament finally managed to adopt a law saying that English is the second official language of Mongolia. And I personally know that how our Indian friends are mastering English. You are perfect people, and you master English like your own language. And some of you can speak and write even better than Americans or British. In case of Mongolia, the very big and small example of how our Indians are perfect in English is Dr. Sashitaru. I was kind enough to work with him during the UN years when he was undersecretary. So the word choices, how he delivered his messages, is fantastic. So I want to provide this opportunity to Mongolian youngsters, especially in rural areas, because in urban areas, parents can afford to send their children to private schools or hire the private tutors at home to perfect their English. But in the countryside, we don't have that privilege and access to English. So my idea is that through the intergovernmental agreement, we can send 1,000 Indian English language teachers to Mongolia. I know that in the history, India used to send 10,000 or more teachers to African countries in the 80s, 70s. So maybe we can use that already built wheel to continue this collaboration in education sector, sending around 1,000 Indian language, English language teachers to Mongolia to give the opportunity to Mongolian kids in countryside, bright young boys and girls, to master English. So it has it has a couple of benefits. First of all, the children as well as the teachers will have direct access to talk, connect with the native speakers. In our case, it's English, Indians, and they will have a more chance to get, because as I see, Mongolian kids, they can have very good grammar basics in English. They have very good in writing. They're good, but delivering the message they have in a mind through their tongue to deliver the communication, that was is lacking for Mongolian kids. And this is the one problem why the Mongolian students cannot fully use the scholarship provided by ICCR, because the level of English is not sufficient. So by sending 1,000 English language teachers to Mongolia, to countryside, will have a more opportunity Mongolian kids to be enrolled in the Indian educational systems. The second part and advantage I see personally is the biggest one is people-to-people tie, because coming, for example, Indian teachers coming to one province or the one small town, he will bring Indian culture, he will bring Indian cuisine, he will bring Holi, Diwali. So Mongolians will have direct access, understanding, and proper understanding what is India is about. Of course, overall in Mongolia, there are assumptions that India is the land of Lord Buddha. India is a very hot country, and there are too many people in India, because for Mongolians, India is too big. By, let's say, in comparison, by territory, we approximately half of India by territory size, but by population, we less than one district of Delhi. We're only 3.5 million, and more than half of them living only in a capital city, which gives us huge territory untapped. So by sending this right message about Mongolia, about India to Mongolians will be a benefit, and that's how we can create the proper understanding between our peoples. It will give us better idea how we can work on that and what we can improve. So there will be a lot of nice, and since our Indian teachers who will come to Mongolia will be engaging with the youngsters, they will have more access. That young people will have future for our bilateral relations. They will bring more knowledge, and they will be keen to work, develop our bilateral relations.
Excellency, you thrown open the gambit of opportunities in so many sectors. One very critical question which comes to my mind is the connectivity, air connectivity. As an ambassador to India, it will be a dream come true. During your tenure, this connectivity starts. So, could you just tell us the status of how this part is being taken care regarding direct flights from Mongolia to India?
Yes, we still in the term of negotiating the finalizing the direct flight starts, because as I see, without direct flights, there are a lot of obstacles to develop bilateral relations. Once we have direct flight, which is less than 6 hours, 5 hours, 20 minutes,
Yes.
direct flight, we have to fly around the Himalayas. So by starting the direct flight will give us a lot of benefits, and I see that there are need from both sides, because as I said, there are a lot of Mongolians. We have huge flow of Mongolians to India. It's a pilgrimage, the tourists, also the medical tourists. So students come in education. So already we have big flow of Mongolians to India. But at the same time, now I can see that a lot of Indians start going to Mongolia. Of course, it's related to oil refinery, the friendship school, IT center of excellence, all these officials, and of course, diplomats travel often to Mongolia. But at the same time, I can see that with the start of the direct flight, we can develop the tourism, because we know that our Indian friends travel a lot. You're the number one tourist in the world. All of you, I'm confident, most of you already visited Americas, Middle East, Europe, Japan, Korea, China. So now there is huge traffic to Thailand and Vietnam. But after 2 3 years, everybody visit that and they will ask where to go new places, where there is destination. And I'm firmly confident that Mongolia can be that new destination for Indian tourists, given the fact that Mongolia is one of the few countries in the world that managed to preserve its pristine nature. So people who love nature, who wants to be in close contact with nature, are welcome to Mongolia because we have a lot of places that untouched. Some areas you will drive whole day, see only wild animals, no human beings at all. So you drive like 20 minutes, 25 minutes out of our capital city, and you're on your own. You can stop, you can do the barbecue, you can party, you can sleep, scream, cry, run, whatever. The freedom is there. So people who love this nature, hikers, bikers, as well as the fishermen, the hunters. So all these kind of nature-loving people are welcome to Mongolia, and I'm confident Mongolia will be next tourist destination for Indians.
Excellency, I remember, before doing this interview, we were talking about tourism. I think I should remind the viewers that, when you go to Mongolia, go and enjoy the nature, it's a terrific place. I think, Excellency, if you could just throw a light on this,
Yes, of course. As you rightly said, Mongolia is the country, landlocked country, sandwiched between Russia and China. So in eastern corner of Mongolia, we have snow-peaked mountains and high altitude lakes. So in the northern part, we have the forests and taiga, and because it comes, southern point of the Russian taiga comes to Mongolia, and there we have the tribes called the reindeer community. They live in isolated areas, so tourists can come visit them, ride the reindeer to see how the reindeer community is living. It's totally unique perspective. You will feel that you are part of the nature. Of course, in the eastern corner of Mongolia, we have valley goes to 3,000, where there are no high hills higher than 2 meters, 1 meter. So it's just plain. You drive there, you see that you're like feeling like you're driving in the green ocean. And of course, in the nighttime, you will see the Milky Way from one horizon to horizon. And you will see million stars. And of course, in the southern part of Mongolia, we have the biggest desert in the Asia, Gobi Desert, where you will have all these canyons, big canyons, the fossils of dinosaurs. So Gobi is the desert. So Mongolia is very attractive place for people who love the nature.
Yeah, Excellency, thank you. I will be, very keenly awaiting when this direct connectivity between Mongolia and India happens. I think I'll be the first traveler to, travel to Mongolia. Now, coming to a very important subject, which is affecting each and every country, every region on the globe is climate and sustainability. Mongolia faces challenges related to desertification and climate change. Can India-Mongolia collaborate more closely in renewable energy, environmental technologies? Is there any scope for cooperation under India International Solar Alliance, to which Mongolia is considering to join very soon?
Yes, you rightly said that Mongolia is as a small country and landlocked country, we facing a lot of negative aspect of the global climate change, and one of them is desertification. So now we have statistics saying that 76%, up to 76% of the Mongolian territory is hit by desertification. So it is not only our problem, but it's a regional issue because the dust, so-called yellow sand dust, is what is created in Mongolia, goes to a high in atmosphere, and it's reaching Beijing, Seoul, Tokyo. Can you imagine? So there is a phenomenon called Mongolian yellow dust storm in Beijing, Korea, Seoul, and Tokyo. So it's affecting all of us. But happily, Mongolian government, especially our president, we are fighting with this desertification, and our president come up with the initiative billion tree, so which is very similar to Indian plant a tree for your mother. So
Yes,
I believe
ek
this
ped
kind of
maa ke naam.
cooperation can be very fruitful for us, for both countries, because we have in Mongolia we call our mother nature. So we have one mother nature, even though we locate in different places, but the globe is one. So whenever do something in Mongolia can be felt in India as well. Also, whatever climate change is affected in India can be felt in Mongolia. So it doesn't mean that behind, outside of my border, we don't care. So everything is interrelated nowadays. So that's why I believe we can do a lot in the terms of the climate and environment protection. And also, we know that our Indian friends are very good in channeling water from the different places. I visited a couple of the projects, and I personally believe that also is one good aspect of our cooperation. We have many rivers in Mongolia. We call them unpatriotic since they're all flown out of the Mongolian territory. So maybe the Indian, the know-how and the technical capacity, we can build, let's say, 2 canals by channeling water from all those big rivers flowing out of Mongolia to southern part where there's a Gobi desertification, and build put the, let's say, green belt, bring in water, the dry areas to plant trees and plantations. So this kind of cooperation, I believe, very good future. And since the world is now, everybody is paying high attention to green projects, I believe this kind of cooperation between our 2 countries can be very fruitful and should be and will be.
Excellency, while talking about the regional and global cooperation, how do India and Mongolia coordinate at multilateral forums such as UN, SCOPE, and others? In today's shifting global order, what role can India and Mongolia play together in promoting peace and stability in the region?
Yes, it is one of the important aspects of our bilateral relations. Stepping back a little bit, Mongolians felt still great admiration and appreciation to the Indian people, Indian government, for solid support of Mongolia in becoming member of the United Nations. Mongolia started its application from the very beginning of the establishment of UN in 1945. But due to political system at that time, we weren't able to become a full member of UN till 1961. And I'm happy to state that the Prime Minister of India officially declared that Mongolia should be becoming rightful member of the UN from the UN rostrum. It was the very first statement of the head of the foreign government officially declaring support for India and for Mongolian membership. That's why Mongolians really appreciate. Still today, we have feel appreciation, admiration to that step from our Indian friends. Of course, within the UN, we have a lot of areas of cooperation, and through the different organizations of UN. And since my own experience working at the parent mission of Mongolia to UN, I had a very good contact to our Indian friends, because Indian diplomats are highly skilled and they know-how, knowledge. It was very helpful for me as a young diplomat to work on the different resolutions at the UN. And of course, that our cooperation goes through the election, the support, mutual support offered each other during the different election at the UN bodies. Also, one part of our cooperation goes to peacekeeping missions.
Yes.
Mongolia is one of the top 10 providers of peacekeepers in the world. And whenever we see a lot of our Indian friends also, and big active participation in the UN peacekeeping missions. Personally, I witnessed our Indian friends in South Sudan, where I was spent around 1 month in preparation of the visit of my prime minister and current president to South Sudan, where we have big contingents of our peacekeepers, and our neighbors were actually the Indian contingents. And there's peacekeepers. We had a very good, the network. We used to go to them; they used to come to our camp. So it was very close cooperation, mutual support. And in terms of the modern world current situation, I personally firmly believe that experience of India and Mongolia as peace-loving countries in the world, and through our dharma relations, through our religion, the point of view of livelihood, how the Indians, Mongolians love the family. Our family bond is very strong. So all of this, I believe, can be used to bring in stability, peace on the regional as well as a global level. We see how the Prime Minister Modi ji and the government of India is working hard on bringing the stability in the region as well as around the world. And Mongolia is peace-loving country, also is striving our best to bring especially the stability in northeastern Asia, where the Mongolia belong. So there are a lot of issues that we can work together. We can bring our personal as well as the traditional values on the world stage, and it will help the world to overcome all those, the turbulences, let's say, we are facing in the modern world.
Excellency, that was excellent. Coming to the personal perspective, what has been your experience so far in India, both professionally and personally? Do you have any favorite Indian place, food, or cultural tradition that has impressed you?
Oh yes, of course. India is in close to my heart. Given my family background, our family has a very strong bond with India. Starting with my father, he studied in Indian Dharamsala for 5 years.
Okay.
My brother, he used to study in Hyderabad, I think approximately 2 years. And my baby sister, even she graduated from the Pune University.
Mm.
And so to continue this good tradition, I brought my nephew, and he graduated this year from the Goenka University. So our family bond with India is very strong. And I don't know whether I was much happy or my parents was happy when they announced that I'm going to be ambassador of Mongolia to India. I think everybody in my family was overwhelmed, and I'm happy to state that my parents, they come in almost every 3-4 months. They come into India. My brothers, sisters, everybody in my family visit India more than once during my stay here. So, of course, in professional term, it appears that as a career diplomat, I haven't been engaged with India till now. Before that, I used to cover the United Nations International Organization. I was posted in Bulgaria. I was posted in Canada. I used to work in Russia in other study, and then all that. And before becoming an ambassador of Mongolia to India, I was director of the Department of Americas, Middle East, and Africa. So I was mainly dealing with the Middle East and the Americas. So the very first time I heard that I'm going to become ambassador of Mongolia to India, I was, to be honest, kind of afraid, because I know that my predecessor, all the ambassador, was the very, the respected, very experienced diplomat. And the given the how also another one fact that Mongolia is giving the importance to India is that I'm the 18th ambassador of Mongolia to India. So out of my 17 predecessors, 4 of them were foreign ministers of Mongolia. It
Okay.
shows how Mongolia values the relations with India and give the importance of our bilateral relations. So in terms of professional, I have a lot of things to learn from my predecessors, what they done till today. So I have a big high touch to bring to the next level. So gives me a lot of push. And of course, there are a lot of things we can do and should do. And there are a lot of initiative we starting. And happily, the next month, we're going to have our president's visit in India on state visit. At that time, we'll conclude a lot of agreements, and we will see how we can work on our bilateral relations, improve what we can do green. Of course, as I said, me and my wife, we love India. We love travel around India. We do a lot of discoveries. Almost every day we do discoveries. So India is too big to understand it. So you given the language, cuisine, religion, you name it, dress, song, culture, dance. It's, I don't know, in starting that is Gujarat Garba,
Garba.
the Darjeeling tea, the Ladakh, the Kerala, West Bengal, Goa, you name it, Gujarat. Every time I go to Gujarat, I see that there is a huge dynamic development in Gujarat. There are a lot of projects going on, huge impacts. My last visit to India, becoming an ambassador in 21, was in 2009. I was at that time chief of protocol, and I was responsible for arranging the state visit of the president at that time, to India in 2009. So since 2009 till to 21, when I came back in 21, I see the huge difference in the Indian society, in Delhi by itself, and also when I travel around India, I can see a lot of developments, a lot of changes. Of course, such a big, enormous country with 22 official languages, lot of hundreds of tribes, the minorities. It takes time to start the process, but I can see there is a very good indications that India already started its movement, development, and the bright future for Indian people. So I'm confident after 5-10 years, India will be a totally different new country. As of my, the favorite places, of course, me and my wife, as I said, we love traveling. For us, the Darjeeling is the lovely place. We always go there if there's any chance, especially going to Darjeeling, hiking through the tea plantation. It's a fantastic experience. Of course, our travel every year we have a chance. Especially in winter, when our friends or our children come in, we go to Goa. For us, the ocean is something new for us, for the landlocked country. So we love to go into Goa. Of course, the Kerala, Karnataka area is also unique in terms of the Ayurvedic treatment. We'll always go to see, learn something new. And of course, the West Bengal, Kolkata, it's totally different area where actually this weekend I'm going there to go to be part of the celebration. So there are a lot of things we can do and love to do it, because Indian culture is too rich. And the most thing that I admire how our Indian friends, besides the diversity that you have, let's say in Ladakh, Jammu Kashmir, Punjab, northeast states, Kaziranga, name it, the beautiful places, and South India, West Bengal, the Goa. So given all this, the differences, you still manage to have a country called the Republic of India. And besides given the differences, but you manage to still succeed as a country in this term. That fascinates me, and I'm happy that I'm witnessing this such a big transition, and I'm happy to be ambassador of Mongolia in this important big country, Republic of India, in this interesting and huge, the development progress started in India. I'm happy that I'm witnessing it myself.
As we come to the end of this program, it was enthralling to listen to you and the kind of experiences and the kind of opportunities you have enlisted. There is a great opportunity to work with both the countries, India and Mongolia, to work in various sectors. I'm looking forward to the air connectivity part. I think this is going to change the paradigm shift. It's going to make a big difference to this strategic partnership. Now, coming to the very end, what is your message you would like to convey to the people of India about Mongolia and to the Mongolians about India?
Of course, as I said, I'm happy to be here to represent my country, beautiful country of Mongolia, to our Indian friends. We have a lot of commonality. So based on that commonality, we have a bright future of our development of our bilateral relations into a much broader sense. So I would encourage Indians to go to Mongolia, explore, because the nomadic experience that you will see in Mongolia, it's lifetime experience. So I would encourage Indians to go to Mongolia, especially in summertime, because in the winter might be a little bit cold for Indians, reaching -40, but we still survive there. It's okay for us. Whenever you go, you can come to Mongolia, of course, in wintertime. The Mongolian warmth of the Mongolian hospitality, nomadic hospitality, will keep you warm. But of course, as a tourist, the best time to visit Mongolia started from June all the way till the September. This is the best timing. In summer, our temperature is not that high. It's around 30, 32 maximum. And because it's a landlocked country very far from ocean, it's completely dry, but it's a very pleasant time for Indians to visit. As of for Mongolians, I always say them, India is too big. It's not only the place, land of Lord Buddha. There are much more to discover. Hinduism by itself, it's the enormous culture. As I said, all those monuments that Indian people managed to build and preserve it. Ajanta, Ellora caves, the Sun Temple in Odisha, Kochi, you name it. There are huge things to discover in India. That's why I always encourage our Mongolian friends and people who come from Mongolia, trying to meet them. I'm encouraging them to go around India to see, not to stay in only the northern part of India. because northern part of India is also its unique place. But at the same time, we have northeast, the Sikkim, Assam, Meghalaya, and of course the West Bengal, South India, Goa, you name it. So it's huge territory untapped. So I always encourage both people, the Indians as well as Mongolians, to come to India, come to Mongolia, see, discover, make yourself. And of course, since given the enormous size of India, Mongols, whenever you plan to come, you have to at least 2 weeks minimum to have to travel in India. Also for Indians, when you plan to come to Mongolia, plan at least 10 days, because Ulaanbaatar is city, as a capital. It's overcrowded, lot of construction going on, skyscrapers. So it's I think same as any urban cities in the world. So I would encourage Indian to come spend 1 day in Ulaanbaatar, then travel outside of Ulaanbaatar, because Mongolia is big, comparatively big country. You'll need certain time to reach those destinations I mentioned previously. So at least week or 10 days you have to plan to travel around the Mongolia and to get better known. So thank you again for having me, and I'm happy that I was part of this your important the podcasting, the Zoom meeting. So I'm looking forward to continue our cooperation, and I'm really happy to come back to you again.
Thank you, Excellency. Before we end this broadcast, as a media organization, we are going to very few, in few, I think, days, we are going to start a dedicated page on India-Mongolia relations, where we are going to, explore areas of interest, areas of cooperation. We'll be having a tourism blog also, so we can more intensely understand and take cues from whatever ambassador has said today. On behalf of our team and our viewers, we extend our gratitude to His Excellency, the Ambassador of Mongolia to India, Dambajav Ganbold, for joining us today. Thank you for watching this very special broadcast. If you like this, please share it, like it. Namaste. Thank you, Excellency.